If I'm going to buy meat of any kind as a vegan,
If I'm going to buy meat of any kind as a vegan,
Hi everyone and welcome to another episode of Holy Shit, What a Moron! And this is part 2 of my response to Raleighlink14. If you haven't seen part 1 yet, I highly recommend you do so. In part 1, I responded to a video she made titled The Scary Truth About Dog Food, and in that video, she made a number of pseudoscientific claims where she claimed that raw food diets are ideal for the health of cats and dogs. And in my response, of course, I systematically disproved these claims, and I proved that not only are raw food diets not beneficial for the health of your cats or dogs, but in fact, they're quite dangerous to your pet's health and dangerous to other humans. And in that video, I also discussed how Raleigh is a fake vegan because she is murdering animals for no justifiable reason, just so that she can feed them to her dog, even though this sort of diet doesn't even offer any kind of health benefits, clearly doesn't offer any kind of ethical benefits. And she made a follow-up video to her original video about dog food titled, That Vegan Teacher Abuses Her Dog, and that's what we're going to respond to today. Now, because I refuted a lot of her scientific claims in part 1, part 2 is going to focus more on the ethical claims she made, so if I'm skipping over some portions of the video she made in part 2, that's just because I've already debunked a lot of these pseudoscientific claims she's making. So let's get into it.
you know, that vegan teacher is such a troll that from time to time, I really can't tell if she's being serious or if she's just trying to get views, because anybody who's a real activist like myself makes actual videos trying to educate the public instead of just nothing but videos on trying to pick apart other vegans. I don't give a fuck what other vegans do and how they live their lives. If somebody is vegan, cool, good for them. If they're not, cool, good for them. All I'm here to do is educate people and help put people on a better path.
So we're already off to a pretty stupid start. Raleigh is upset that that vegan teacher criticized her for feeding meat to her dogs, and she believes vegans shouldn't criticize other vegans. Well, you're not vegan. You pay for animals to be murdered so that you can feed them to your dogs. This is completely unjustifiable. So that vegan teacher criticizing you isn't a vegan criticizing another vegan. So I guess there's not actually any problem here. And what's hypocritical about this is Raleigh criticizes other vegan activists all the time. She's made an innumerable amount of videos criticizing that vegan teacher. She's criticized Tash Peterson of Vegan Booty. She's criticized Unnatural Vegan. She's criticized plenty of other vegan activists, so I guess you can't even adhere to your own principles. And what's especially laughable about all of this is, Raleigh claims she's here to educate people. You do anything but that. In your video about dog food, you cherry-picked unreputable, non-scientific sources, and you promoted dangerous quacks like Dr. Karen Baker, who is an anti-vaxxer who promotes pseudoscience like homeopathic medicine and encourages people to distrust established veterinary medicine. And you even claimed that raw food diets are ideal for the health of cats and dogs, even though there is absolutely no evidence to support that, and every single veterinary organization on the planet has released position statements claiming that there is no evidence of any benefit for these diets, and there is proven risk of harm. Raleigh, you're not here to educate anyone. You're here to get attention, views, and money in any way you can, and that's why you made a response to that vegan teacher. You know that responses to that vegan teacher get you more views and make you more money. You'll never respond to someone like me. I made a very thorough rebuttal where I provided science to support my claims. If you were to respond to me, that would actually be an opportunity to educate people, but you're never going to do it because you're not interested in educating anyone. You can't even do that. You're not smart enough. You know that you cherry-pick non-scientific sources and you support frauds and pseudoscience because you know that makes you money and attention and gets you views. You're a joke.
But what really bothers me is the vegans that go around policing people. Let people figure out their own diets. Let people figure things out on their own and get comfortable on their own. You don't have to police every single thing that people do. If somebody says they're vegan, just let them be and believe in the fact that they're trying to do the best to better themselves and the environment and the impact they have on the world. I think this whole narrative behind her attacking and trying to dismantle and pick apart other vegans is really sad. It's like, dude, just leave people alone. Let people live their lives. Even if somebody isn't vegan, that's not a reason to attack them, because at the end of the day, that's not gonna better your argument. It's just gonna turn people away from the movement and be like, wow, that person's really fucking rude and a really awful person, so I guess I just shouldn't be vegan.
So Raleigh thinks that it's wrong for vegan to attack people who eat meat because it's just going to make people think that, wow, vegans are rude and mean and they're not going to want to be vegan. Well, here's a clip of Raleigh responding to somebody who she thought was mistreating a horse.
It's been so normalized to treat animals, especially horses, so poorly, and I'm so glad that equestrians are putting their foot down now and they're like, no, fuck you, horses should not be treated this way, suck a dick and die, bitch, you should have your horses taken away, thanks. And oh my god, bitch, when I saw these photos, I was like, how in the hell can you justify sitting on these horses? These horses are borderline about to die. They're so emaciated, it's unreal. This bitch is straight up abusing animals and she needs to be charged.
So isn't that funny? Raleigh claims that vegans shouldn't be rude, we should always be polite, we shouldn't judge people for their choices, but when she sees an animal getting abused, what does she do? Oh, well, she wishes death upon them, calls them names like bitch, tells them to suck a dick, makes fun of them for being fat. It's funny how you don't have to adhere to your own standards, Raleigh, and I think this just proves that not only is she not vegan, but she doesn't even believe in what she's saying. If you're against people treating animals like this, I don't see how you can be okay with people murdering animals. Like, if somebody were to murder horses to feed to their dogs, would you have a problem with that? That's exactly what you're doing, only you're choosing different animals to murder. None of this makes any sense. You're just trying to avoid criticism.
Because honestly, when that vegan teacher attacks me by basically telling me to go kill myself, I mean, it's like, dude, seriously? That doesn't make me want to associate myself with vegans.
Okay, I have a couple things to say about this. For one thing, Raleigh is lying, of course. She is a pathological liar. That vegan teacher never told her to kill herself. This is what that vegan teacher actually said in response to Raleigh feeding meat to her dogs.
You'd be perfectly willing to cut the foot off of a duck or a chicken and feed that to a dog. What about your own hand, Raleigh? Every time you look at your own hands, Raleigh, think about it. You would never want to cut off yourself to feed yourself to a dog. So why do it when the clear choice is vegan food? It is the best compromise for everyone.
So as you can see, Raleigh is a liar. That vegan teacher never suggested to Raleigh that she should kill herself or harm herself in any way. That vegan teacher just pointed out that Raleigh is perfectly willing to harm other animals, but she'd never harm herself or another human being to feed her dogs, which is hypocritical. If you're fine with harming animals, why wouldn't you be fine with harming people? And Raleigh, if this makes you uncomfortable, if vegan spouting facts and justifiably criticizing you makes you not want to be a part of the vegan community, good. We don't want you to be part of the vegan community on account of the fact not only are you not vegan, but you're an anti-vegan. You are in favor of the animal products industry. You are in favor of animal abuse and murder. We don't want you. Please leave.
Are you trying to convert people to veganism, or are you trying to scare people away to make it an exclusive club for yourself because you want to feel like an elitist person? This bitch is straight up abusing animals and she needs to be charged.
Well, Raleigh, I would say veganism is a moral high ground and it is an exclusive club since you have to be vegan in order to be vegan. So yeah, I'm better than you and you're not welcome in to our exclusive club. Again, please leave.
I wanted to make this video because it's important to say that vegan teacher nutritionally abuses her dog and whatever other animal she has. And she's also giving out very, very, very bad nutritional advice to pet owners.
Bella is my vegan dog. She's been vegan since August 2017. And look, she's perfectly healthy. And right now, she's going to get a little treat, which is a piece of apple.
What I will never understand, though, is why many vegans and vegetarians think it's okay to force their personal viewpoints, their personal dietary choices onto their dog or cat. Humans, Homo sapiens, are omnivores, meaning our bodies can digest plant material and animal tissues both. Dogs and cats are carnivores, which means they are meat eaters and they don't digest plant material very efficiently at all. Dogs are scavenging carnivores and kitties are obligate carnivores, and nature designed the bodies of carnivores to thrive on nutrients provided by animal flesh and organ meat.
You are nutritionally abusing and depriving your dog of the nutrients they should be getting in their daily diet by feeding them any form of vegan or vegetarian kibble.
So Raleigh has absolutely no evidence to substantiate her claims, and once again, she just shared a clip of that dangerous quack Dr. Karen Baker, who also did not have any evidence to substantiate her claims. All she did was make an appeal to nature fallacy. Well, I don't really care if it's natural for a dog to eat meat, I care about health outcomes. And if you can't provide any evidence that feeding a plant-based diet to a dog leads to any disease process in these animals, then you have no argument. So Raleigh, what's funny is Raleigh is claiming that it is animal abuse to feed a dog a vegan form of kibble because you're depriving it of the nutrients it needs. Well, what's funny is there's actual research on this topic, Raleigh. Research that apparently you're unaware of. Vegan diet and its effects on the dog's health. The nutritional adequacy of a vegan diet was determined by analysis of blood samples from 40 dogs, 20 of which were fed a 100% plant-based diet for an average of 2.15 years, and control group of 20 were fed a meat-based diet. The results showed the same number of surpluses in both groups. However, the vegan group had only 2 nutritional deficiencies compared to 11 in the meat-fed group. So again, Raleigh, you have no evidence to substantiate your claims. According to the research I've provided, it seems that dogs being fed a vegan diet long-term do not have an increased risk of nutritional deficiencies compared to dogs being fed a meat-based diet. And there's quite a bit of evidence to suggest that dogs being fed a raw food diet have risk of nutritional deficiencies or nutritional excess. There's a lot of case reports where dogs develop health issues from eating raw food diets that have not been properly formulated, and because a lot of these raw food diets are homemade and they're not being prepared by nutritional experts, this does seem to be a relevant risk. So Raleigh, if anybody is nutritionally abusing their dog, it's probably you.
And I knew when I uploaded my last video, which if you haven't seen it, please go watch it. I put a week's worth of veterinary interviews and advice and studies into that video. It's very well backed by science, vet techs, and my own personal veterinarian.
So Rayleigh's lying again. She did absolutely zero research for her dog food video, and she didn't even reference one single study in that entire video. Just go over to her video description. There are no research links. The only thing in there is a link to a YouTube channel that's about feeding your dog a raw diet, and another link to Dr. Karen Baker, that dangerous quack we've talked about earlier. However, if you go to my video where I responded to Raleigh, you can see quite a lot of research went into that video. So Raleigh, you do absolutely no research, you are a joke, you're a fraud, and nobody should take you seriously.
And one thing I mentioned at the end is I talked about why I feed my dogs a fully raw diet as a vegan. Because I have dogs that are rescues, it's my responsibility that I took on as a vegan to take the best possible care of these animals. And that does not mean giving them a food where they're going to survive on it. Just because an animal can survive eating that food doesn't mean it's good for them. And they can have and will have nutritional deficiencies that come up in their life along the way.
So once again, Raleigh has provided absolutely no evidence to substantiate her claims, and I have provided counter evidence suggesting that dogs on a vegan diet actually have lower risk of nutrient deficiency. She keeps claiming this, that feeding a dog a vegan diet is abuse, it's going to be nutritionally deficient, but she hasn't provided any evidence. And even if we were to agree for the sake of argument that a vegan diet isn't ideal for a dog, How does that justify murdering other animals to feed to your dog? Like, your average dog is only going to live 10 to 12 years, and you're killing animals that live well over that length of time. Rayleigh is killing chickens and bison to feed to her dog. Does it make any sense to kill countless other animals to feed to your 2 dogs? No, if the goal is to reduce the overall amount of harm we're committing, murdering, let's say, I don't know, 5 to 10 animals per year to feed to 1 dog does not make any sense.
So you should absolutely not feed your dog a vegan or vegetarian diet, and you should absolutely not feed a cat a vegan or vegetarian diet. Cats are obligate carnivores, which means that they have to have meat in their diet. You cannot substitute it with other types of protein. It has to be animal protein. And you can look up any veterinary studies on this. Anybody who is feeding their cats a vegan or vegetarian diet, you are straight up abusing your animal.
So once again, Rayleigh provided absolutely no evidence for her claims. That little text that she popped on screen was taken from a blog article from the Blue Cross for Animals website, where there were absolutely no research references, and there isn't even an author attributed to this article. So since Rayleigh isn't able to provide any research or studies about vegan cats, how about I do that for her? According to the paper Vegan Nutrition of Dogs and Cats, during clinical examination of participating vegan cats and dogs, no abnormalities were detected that were to be associated with the individual diet. All examined dogs and cats appeared happy and bright, some fearful, some aggressive. No diseases could be found that were directly and obviously relatable to a plant-based diet. The main finding in the study are significantly lower folic acid values in the group of vegan cats compared to conventionally fed cats, the reason of which is not known and may need further investigation. No other significant deviations to the norm values were found. Expected significant lower values of iron, protein, and vitamin B12 in vegan cats could not be observed. In the main, examined vegan diets fulfilled cats' and dogs' nutritional requirements. And there was also another recent paper published this year titled A Cross-Sectional Study of Owner-Reported Health in Canadian and American Cats Fed Meat and Plant-Based Diets. What the authors found was that cats fed a vegan diet were more likely to be reported as being in good health, and cats fed a vegan diet were also reported to live just as long. And look, Rayleigh, if you disagreed with anything I've said in this video or disagree with any of the research I've provided, feel free to make a video response, feel free to debate me live on my channel. We all know you're never going to do it because you're intellectually inferior to me. I've proven that you're a liar, you have no idea of what you're talking about, and you're just going to go on about your life making the stupid videos you always do.
Nobody wants to kill this dog and feed this dog to this cat. There is something called vegan dog food and vegan cat food. And if it can be done, we must strive as hard as possible to do the least harm globally to all of the animals.
Sure, if it could be done, sure, but it can't be done. And feeding kibble of any kind to your dog or your cat is nutritionally depriving them, and also adding a myriad of different carcinogens into their diet and into their body. If you are a vegan and you feed your cat vegan, you are abusing your animal because cats are obligate carnivores. You cannot feed cats a vegan diet. Point blank period, no. Dogs might be able to survive on it for a few years, but cats will die on a vegan diet, and this is scientifically proven. You cannot do it, so don't do it.
So Rayleigh now claims that it is impossible to feed a cat a vegan diet, and if you do so, they will die. And she claims there's science proving this, and she flashed a bit of text on screen. Well, did Rayleigh finally actually reference a scientifically valid source this time, like some kind of study? No, of course not. That text that she flashed on screen was taken from a BBC News article written by a guy named Stephen Dowling, who apparently mostly writes about space, aviation, and transport. So, Rayleigh, I adopted my cat Prismo last year, and he's been on a 100% vegan plant-based diet for the last year. Can you tell me when he's going to die? Like, you told me that there's scientific evidence proving that if a cat is on a vegan diet, it will die. So tell me, when is he gonna die? Huh? He's been on a vegan diet for a year. He has no health problems. So tell me, I just want to see the science. I'm really interested to see the science of when this cat will die, you moron.
This vegan is putting out the most animal abusive advice I've ever heard in my life. I mean, seriously, if you are a vegan, put your differences aside and feed your animals the appropriate diet they need to be eating, not what you think they should be eating to make you feel better.
You know, you're right, Rayleigh. I should start feeding my cat its natural diet, and you know what? I just happened upon an article where apparently cats like to eat dead people. So from now on, I'm not going to feed my cat a vegan diet anymore. I'm just going to go out and murder idiots like you and feed them to my cat. That's ethical, right? That's what's ethically responsible? Murdering animals that live much longer than my cat so that my cat can live? You idiot!
Raleigh is elitist and snobby because she says you should buy dead animals locally. But not everybody can afford to do that, Raleigh. Not everybody has as much money as you do. Not everybody makes money off of YouTube the way that you do, encouraging this horrific crime to take place.
I buy my meat locally at my local farmer's market because I like knowing where the meat comes from and I like actually knowing how the animals live. If I'm going to buy meat of any kind as a vegan, I feel like it's my responsibility to make sure that those animals are living a good quality life and that I know where they're coming from. I know what quality of meat I'm getting for my dogs. And if I have to spend a little bit extra money to buy organically grown, locally sourced meats from my local farmers instead of supporting factory farming where the animals live miserable fucking lives, I would rather do that. And I understand at the end of the day, they're slaughtered, and I get that, and that fucking sucks, and I don't agree with that, but that's what my dogs need to be eating. However, I never said that everyone has to do that. I said that's what I do because I'm a vegan, and I want to make the most ethically responsible choice for the position that I am put in. Because I have to feed my dogs this diet. This is what they need nutritionally. So I want to make the lowest impact on the environment and the best impact on the animals as possible.
All right, Rayleigh, so since human beings are the most environmentally devastating species on the planet, and most humans also eat meat, so they kill and eat other animals, I guess according to you, it would be the most responsible thing to kill human beings and feed them to our pets because that would be the most environmentally friendly, that would result in the fewest overall deaths because you're preventing them from killing other animals. That makes sense to you, right, Rayleigh? It's environmentally responsible, it's the most ethical thing to do. You have to feed your cats and dogs meat after all. You're a joke.
However, anybody who feeds their dogs raw can feed whatever type of raw food from wherever it is that they want to feed. I wasn't saying that to be elitist. I was saying that to go over my own morals and ethics behind my decision-making process.
So now Rayleigh is claiming that it's perfectly fine to buy animals from factory farms where they're getting horrifically tortured and abused. She sees nothing wrong with that ethically. Okay, Rayleigh, so when's the I'm no longer vegan video gonna come out? When are you gonna admit to all of us that you've been eating meat for the last few months?
Raleigh, if you really think that your dog needs to eat flesh, needs to chew on a bone, needs to eat muscle, ligaments, and tendons, if you really think that your dog needs raw meat, then what about looking down at your own hand? Do you see 5 fingers there? Did you ever consider, perhaps, cutting off one of them and giving them to your dog? I mean, if you really think that your dog absolutely needs flesh, why do you think it's okay to leave some animals intact and not others? Why do you think that that seems crazy to you? You'd be perfectly willing to cut the foot off of a duck or a chicken and feed that to a dog. What about your own hand?
I can't. Rain, are you listening? So vegan teacher told me to cut off my own hand to feed to you guys. Are you guys okay with that? Is that acceptable? Yeah. You want me to cut off my hand? Let's do it. I really just don't know where to start. I don't know what's the best part to cut off on my hand. So, you know, I guess we're just gonna go with the wrist, and hopefully this is enough meat and bone and, you know, tissue for my dogs, even though, you know, I don't think it's gonna be nutritionally adequate. And, you know, me dying might actually prevent my dogs from having further meals in the future, but fuck it, because Karen's always right? All right. That's just the most ridiculous argument I've ever heard. It's not even a response, because it's my responsibility to take proper care of my animals, and I have to be there to feed them for the rest of their life. Saying to me that, like, I need to cut off my own hand and, like, other body parts to feed my animals is really stupid. I really can't with her, and I think her arguments at this point are just so outlandish that I can't even respond to it, because—
You can't respond to her arguments because you're a moron and logic and evidence frightens you. If you're unwilling to harm yourself or harm other people to feed your dogs, then what justification do you have to harm and kill other animals? Like, again, Rayleigh, feel free to respond to my videos. I provided plenty of research for you to refute, and feel free to come onto my channel and actually have a live debate with me on this topic. Just shoot me an email. We can schedule a debate anytime you have free time. But we all know you're not going to do it because you're a liar, you're a moron, you have no evidence, you have no arguments, and you're just a manipulative, evil, sick person who's supporting a Holocaust. And if you don't want to be human scum like Rayleigh and you have a cat or dog, then check out Vigor. They have a wide selection of vegan cat and dog food, as well as vegan-friendly pet accessories. And if you click the link in the description and use the discount code, you can get 10% off of any order. And as always, keep making those vegan and vegan cat and dog gains.
Beef. What a relief. When will this poisonous product cease? This is another public service announcement. You can believe it or you can doubt it. Let us begin now with the cow. The way it gets to your plate and how.